What's crack-a-lackin', my peoples, how you boy? I'm Jerry Quickly, and this is happening. That's right, I couldn't stay away from you little mutants. You keep dragging me back to the microphone. I keep trying to get out, and they keep pulling me back in. Okay, let's try to make some sense of all the madness that's going on across the American political landscape today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. All right, let's just jump into it, right? First off, we're going to be talking about two things today. We're going to be talking about the Robert Mueller report, or really what the media is freaking out about, more accurately, should be entitled the white supremacist known as racist Attorney General Bob Barr's press release. That's what should be discussed because that's all that has been released. But more on that later. First up, we're going to talk about the media outrage over the charges being dropped against the actor Jussie Smollet in Chicago. Jussie Smollet had alleged that he was a victim of a hate crime. The Chicago police, in a stunning, never-before-seen series of events, put together a case against Jussie Smollet, had a press conference. This is unprecedented. They had a press conference where they presented their entire case against this actor, and the deep umbrage and outrage that the members of the law enforcement community in Chicago shared. They have enough issues without someone like Jussie Smollett doing something as heinous as making up hate crimes. Oh, this black bastard. Okay, so that's what happened with the press conference, right? When they arrested this black artist and said he's a scum of the earth and we have to get rid of people like him walking the streets while they're committing crimes. He's the worst. He's the worst of the worst. There's real problems out here. And Jussie Smollett is just trying to pretend he's one of the problems, right? There was this outrage. Okay, but let's be clear. So Jussie Smollett was charged with a range of felonies, and today the district attorney, the chief prosecutor for Cook County, dismissed all charges against Jussie Smollett. Not only did she dismiss all charges against Jussie Smollett, she also sealed the record. So essentially, political figures, a.k.a. police officers, a.k.a. the Fraternal Order of the Police, a.k.a. Rahm Emanuel. So because the record is sealed, police officers can't go into the record and continue to selectively leak things to weaponize it to prove that they were right to have arrested and charged Jussie Smollett as they did. Okay, let's be clear about this. Chicago Police Department is one of the most murderous, racist, torturous, violent, and unaccountable groups of state actors with guns that has ever existed in this country. I don't think there's anyone listening to this or watching this cast who has not seen videos of Chicago PD murdering black youth in the street. They have no standing. I got a question for you. Why did you believe the Chicago PD to begin with when they said Jussie Smollett did A, B, C, D, and E? Oh, it's clear and obvious, right? All right, let's watch this clip from CNN. This is Brooke Baldwin, and she's joined by a cast of moochers, all basically saying that, you know, oh, it's horrible that this is a travesty of justice. Travesty! That's a travesty. Jussie Smollett should be charged. And instead, you know, let's see, outrage yourself. This is from CNN earlier today.
This is ridiculous. It stinks. I could not disagree more with your previous guest than I do. I mean, this isn't on the police department. They did an investigation. They presented it to the state's attorney, which, by the way, any charge has to be approved by the state's attorney before it could even move forward if it's a felony. Then they take it to a grand jury who agrees and actually adds additional charges. And if it was a case, as far as this public opinion being tried in a court of public opinion, I mean, this is a high-profile guy. The media is going to grab onto this. He's an alleged victim of a hate crime. There's a noose. There's Made in America hats that these guys were wearing. I mean, why wouldn't the media cover it? That's just the world that we live in now. That has nothing to do with the police department. This case stinks, and somebody needs to take a look at it. You know, everybody wants to talk about police reform, accountability, transparency. You need to look at some of these prosecutors' offices as well. I mean, something is not right with this, and if there was new evidence that came forward, I guarantee you Eddie and the mayor would not have been as forceful as they were in their press conference. And not only that, why would you seal it? Let it out there. Let us know what it is that's changed. Nothing has changed other than the fact that this guy got to a judge, got to the state's attorney's office somehow, and they worked out some kind of backdoor deal that threw the mayor and the police department under the bus, period.
Okay, so it kind of goes on and on like that at some length, right? Deep, deep outrage, deep outrage. Jussie Smollet, Jussie Smollet. Why did you believe this broken, dysfunctional, violent, murderous police force? Why did you believe their assertion when they broke from tradition, they broke from protocol, and they broke from precedent in order to have, literally, in order to have a press conference to make sure that this black actor paid for the crime that he committed? Why is Chicago PD obsessed with young black men? Why are they obsessed with, quote-unquote, bringing young black men to justice constantly? I never believed them or trusted them to begin with. Why? Because when you murder dozens of young unarmed black men in the street every goddamn year, and almost none of you are ever sent to prison, thankfully there was some justice in the Laquan McDonald case, almost none of you are ever sent to prison, and even worse than you being murderers is that you're all facilitators for murder. Why would anyone ever believe you? Okay, here's an alternative scenario. The district attorney, the prosecutor in Cook County was doing her job. Her job is to protect the status quo and protect the cops. What if, granted, this is just a little hypothetical I'm positing, what if, in doing her due diligence to prosecute Jussie Smollet, who had an effective defense team, meaning you couldn't just make up any old thing you want, throw the Negro in the bottom of the prison and pipe air to his black ass. Okay, you couldn't do that because he had the resources for effective counsel. So, A.G. Fox, the prosecutor there for Cook County, chief prosecutor, had no choice but to review the case closely. Not the bullshit that the police presented and in their press conference, but the actual details of the case. And whatever she saw and whatever she discovered was such that she said, oh my goodness, I'm supposed to protect the status quo. The only way that happens is if I make this go away. What was she hiding or covering up? What was she trying to make go away? Okay, well, I have a hypothetical. I posit this. She was actually trying to protect the police. What if, hypothetical, what if the police had such a deep hatred for Jussie Smollett that they decided, they talked to these two guys who said, oh, we worked for Jussie Smollett, right? These two brothers, who are immigrants, said, you know, well, we want to go after Jussie Smollet because of what he did. What if the police talked these two young immigrant brothers who have no standing, have to be afraid of not being allowed into America ever again, if in fact they had any desire to ever be in America again? The point being that These two young African immigrant men are vulnerable to being leveraged and exploited by U.S. state actors. What if, stick with me now, the police told these young African immigrant men, well, we have video of you doing this and doing A, B, C, D, and E, but we're going to let you walk on all of this if you tell a story about how Jussie Smollet was behind this. Hey, without police malfeasance, deep police malfeasance, there would have been no reason to drop the charges against Jussie Smollet. The charges were dropped because the prosecutor has knowledge of what the police did that the rest of us don't possess. And the police, while engaged in these broad malfeasances, including murder in that town, are outraged that this black prosecutor would dare that she would dare to not carry out her role and finish off the prosecution of this. Why did she not put the sword into this bull? That's what's supposed to happen. And now they want her investigated. A group of murderous police officers rarely held to justice who torture. They had torture centers built in Chicago for citizens, for black Americans picked up off the street, brought to this torture center, and physically tortured. Here in America. This is not the World's Fair in Baghdad. This is not the Muhubarat. This is the goddamn Chicago PD. They built a torture center for niggers. Why would you ever believe them? Okay. So now today, we're also going to talk about the press release that came from the Attorney General on Sunday, white supremacist Bob Barr. And let's be clear before you reflexively start defending him. Bob Barr served the white supremacist party of the United States for a very long time, the Republican Party, and did so some 30 years ago. Do you think the Republican Party was less racist 30 years ago than it was now? No. He served a lethal and racist status quo of a party of white supremacy, then and now. And Bob Barr, knowing that Trump was an open racist, sent a 23-page letter auditioning for the role of Attorney General. And before you reflexively defend him and dismiss everything I've just said, let me ask you this. Donald Trump is notoriously an open racist. He is an open, known white supremacist. You tell me how you can go to work for, and Trump, by the way, doubles down on his white supremacy. He reoffends daily and doubles down daily. How can anyone go to work, particularly as the nation's chief law enforcement officer, working directly for a known, notorious, and open white supremacist? How can you function as Attorney General working for a white supremacist while refusing to enforce his white supremacist ideas and philosophies? And the answer, of course, is that you may not function as Attorney General for a white supremacist while refusing to implement the white supremacist's ideas, philosophies, and policies. Bob Barr is a goddamn white supremacist. Now that that has been firmly and clearly established, only the fragile sensibility of racists would take offense at stating the obvious. If you work for a white supremacist and you're the top cop, you are required to be a white supremacist or you can't be top cop. But that's not a problem because you are white supremacists. You've been serving the party of white supremacists for decades. Okay, so let's return our focus. You silly little freaks. You got me all spun up. Okay, let's return our focus to the press release that Bob Barr issued on Sunday. Special counsel Robert Mueller on Friday released his long-awaited Mueller Report, several hundred pages, to the Justice Department, which is run by white supremacist Bob Barr. Bob Barr then on Sunday released a press release that purported to describe what was in the Mueller Report. But the only thing that Bob Barr actually released was a press release that had, wait for it, sentence fragments. Yes. Did he include the actual executive summary of the Mueller Report that certainly didn't contain any confidential, secret information? Did Bob Barr include the executive summary that Mueller provided of his own report? Nope. Did he include the report itself? Nope. Did Bob Barr include a single complete sentence from the Mueller Report? Nope. All he did was include sentence fragments, and when you parse a sentence into a fragment, you can frame that sentence to say anything you want. This wasn't even a hack job. This was a press release of sentence fragments. And we live in such a crazy media landscape. Mainstream media has failed y'all so miserably that right now, as we speak, there are dozens of fights happening on mainstream media about the meaning of the Mueller Report. No one has the goddamn Mueller Report except for Bob Barr. They're fighting about Bob Barr's sentence fragment press release and acting as though it's a Mueller Report. And that points to the brokenness of the American political system, and the biggest culprit is mainstream media. It is they who brought us to this juncture. And this fight slash non-fight, this sorry slash non-sorry, not sorry, about the Bob Barr press release sentence fragment memo is deeply illustrative of exactly how we ended up here. And the way we ended up here is that Donald Trump, Von Trump, figured out how to hack the American media landscape. And here's how he decided to hack the American media landscape. He realized that, oh, these fools will say, they'll literally repeat anything I say. Whatever I say, it doesn't matter that it's true. They'll repeat it. On rare occasions, they might even say, well, you know, what he's saying here, you know, is not entirely true. On rare occasions, that might happen. But whatever I say will be repeated, and it's walking orders for the rest of my minions. And guess what? They're not going to cut them off either. The press is just going to repeat anything we say over and over. You don't like it? Okay. Rinse and repeat. You don't like it? Okay. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. And that broken dynamic is on full display in the mainstream media coverage of the Bob Barr fucking sentence fragment memo. This is how we got here, by the media inviting on inveterate liars from the Republican Party. And they don't just invite them on, they pay them to come on and commit demonstrable lie after demonstrable lie after demonstrable lie, because the fucking revenue keeps streaming in from those ads. They're killing us as surely as an unregulated social media sector is killing us and sucking the oxygen out of our democracy. Okay, to further illustrate my point of how crazy this moment is, let's give a watch. Oh my God, this is crazy. This is white supremacist Mike Lee, Republican Party member from Utah. And this is a presentation that he gave to Congress today. Let's give it, I swear to God, this is not from The Onion. This is not from some satirical site. This is from C-SPAN. Let's watch this freak accurately reflect this crazy political moment that we're in.
This is, of course, a picture of former President Ronald Reagan naturally firing a machine gun while riding on the back of a dinosaur. You'll notice a couple of important features here. First of all, the rocket launcher strapped to President Reagan's back, and then the stirring, unmistakable patriotism of the Velociraptor holding up a tattered American flag, a symbol of all it means to be an American.
Okay, there it is. That happened today on the floor of Congress. Someone, you and I spent money on that, okay? Because those slides, someone had to make those up, and, there's an aide sitting there changing them. This is where we are now, where there's supposedly an emergency on the border as thousands and thousands of brown children and families are tortured as toddlers and babies are ripped from their family. And Trump says it's an emergency while he plays golf with Kid Rock, and other white supremacists are essentially putting up cosplay slides in Congress. Fucking cosplay slides. This is the insanity of this moment. Remember it, because it's these small nuances in the months and years to come, if we survive this. The devil's in the details, my people. The devil's in the details. Look, I want to thank you all for tuning in, listening. I definitely encourage you to share this. Send a link to your friends. Send it on social media. Email it to people. If you have an older family member, you can just send them a birthday card and write the link down in the card. I'm sure that will work. And you can follow me if you want on Twitter by using the handle @JerryQuickly on Twitter. Again, that's @JerryQuickly on Twitter. And definitely subscribe to the channel. I'm at y'all as often as I can. We're coming back. We're here. It's happening. It's going down. Y'all all, we taking this walk together. You feel me on that? We taking this walk together. Let's go get it. Let's go get it. That's it, y'all. Until I talk to you next, I'm out.